Another interesting thing that's going on related to this is that there's a Republican, well, actually, I didn't even really have to tell you that it's a Republican, but there is a Wisconsin state senator, and you would have known which party he was a member of. His name's Glenn Grothman, who says that women are paid less because money is simply more important for men. That's all it is, Lewis. That's all that's going on.
Interesting. Does he have a study to back this up?
No, of course not.
Okay.
How could he possibly have a study? It's made up.
Right. That's what I was wondering.
He says that repealing this equal pay law was really a no-brainer for him because pay discrimination is simply a myth driven by liberal women's groups. It's amazing because if you were to parody what a Republican talking point would be on something as basic as women's equal pay, you couldn't create a satire of it any better than saying the mere idea of that type of discrimination is a liberal fabrication, and that's exactly what Glenn Grothman is doing.
I really wish we could just make up whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it would be
It'd be great. Life would be so easy.
He says that whatever gap exists, it stems from women's decision to prioritize child rearing over their careers. He says, take a hypothetical husband and wife who are both lawyers. The husband's working 50 or 60 hours a week. He's making 200 grand. The woman's taking time off. She wants to raise the kids. It's not go, go, go for the money. So now they're 50 years old. The husband's making 200 grand a year. The woman's making 40 grand a year. It's not discrimination. She simply had other priorities. She didn't care as much about making money.
Okay.
Do you like that idea, Lewis? Are you buying that?
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. It's funny. It's creative.
Well,
it's entertaining.
He goes even further. He says you could argue that money is more important for men because think about a guy in his first job. He expects to be the breadwinner someday, whereas a woman expects to at some point marry a breadwinner. Right. The implication is women are just out there assuming they'll eventually find a man to make money for them. What an incredibly backwards. I mean, when we talk about
so is this guy's like background psychology?
When we talk about the term progressive and we talk about what's the counterpoint to that in terms of Republican and conservative policy, it is regressive. What is more regressive than suggesting women just wait around for men to marry them and give them the money that they make as the breadwinners? Natan, it's almost a parody. I mean, it's so misogynistic.
I think what we can safely say is that there's a lot of women that are hoping that they'll never marry a guy like this.
Well, yeah, the best assessment we can come from this is that many women are out there hoping they'll never even come across the possibility of having to date a guy like Glenn Grothman.
Does he have a wife?
I have no idea. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he's the breadwinner, right? I'm sure she doesn't care about money.
Sounds like the breadwinner to me.
In 2/3 of American families, by the way, women are either primary or co-breadwinners, and yet they still earn less than their male counterparts in every single of the 50 states. This isn't even a red-blue thing, Lewis. This is in all of the 50 states.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
My question is, how can a single woman vote for a Republican after we see this pervasive... it's almost cliche to call it war on women, but it's what it is. It's not even an exaggeration.
Well, what we ask ourselves isn't how can women vote for Republicans, it's how can anyone vote for someone with concepts like this.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We shouldn't even say, men and women should both be disgusted by this type of statement and this type of policy. You're absolutely right.
But what it comes down to is just not being informed.
You think that's what it is? It's just low information voting.
Low information, non-thinking. Yeah.
I think Jackson...
What else could it possibly be?
Yeah, I think Jackson Katz made a good point about this on the show last week, which was, it's not about policy. When you hear somebody like Rick Santorum and all of his anti-woman policy, it's about identifying with an experience that he had. It's kind of identity politics. And when you hear, hey, he had a wife who unfortunately had this, it wasn't a miscarriage, I think it was a stillborn baby. And a lot of women can identify with reproductive issues. So it almost pushes aside the actual policy of it and makes people just think to themselves, I can identify with something he has experienced. Therefore, I don't care about the policy. I'm going to vote for him anyway. It has to be something like that.
But right, and so they don't dive any deeper. They don't look into the policies. They don't look into
no, you're right. Because the reality
things.
Is, will your life be more affected by the fact that Rick Santorum had that experience, or by the policies he'll actually enact? So
right.
you're absolutely right about that.
Right.